Thanks everyone for coming today. We're going to talk about AI in games and marketing, and I hope it's going to be interesting. Looks like it is. So let's start by each of you introducing yourselves briefly and what your company does.
Hi everyone. So I'm Gadi, I'm VP Marketing at Murka. Murka is a social casino gaming company with some casual titles. Overall, it's a company of about 500 people, and I manage the marketing department, UA creative, retention, ad monetization, and the casual studio.
Hello everybody, nice meeting you. My name is Gabriel. I'm from Moonee. We're a hybrid casual publisher. We started operations around 5 years ago, and this year we transitioned from hyper casual to hybrid casual. Specifically what I'm doing, I'm VP Marketing and also responsible for the publishing activities at Moonee, which in Moonee, VP Marketing is what he said because it varies company to company. And thank you very much for joining us.
Hi. My name is Yuval. I was the founder of Carambola. We served some of you as clients. Then the founder of oolo, which was acquired by AppsFlyer about 6 months ago. So now I'm part of the AppsFlyer team. Look at this shirt. This is a new me. Yeah, I think that no need to introduce AppsFlyer, I assume. I'm responsible for oolo within AppsFlyer, which is basically a monitoring system for UA and monetization.
Hi, I'm Nimrod. I'm VP User Acquisition at CrazyLabs, another hybrid, casual game developer, I think in the last 14 years. I'm responsible within my user acquisition on performance marketing, so it's the UA teams, the creative, and the ASO part. Basically responsible A to Z on the advertising efforts. Performance marketing of our company.
Thank you.
And about to use oolo soon.
We'll see.
Looks like a negotiation is in progress. All right, so I'll start with a question for all of you, just to get the ball rolling. So how is your company currently using AI tools to improve the game production or the marketing or however you're doing it? Let's go in the same round. Start with you, Gadi.
So in the year 2023, basically, Murka adopted AI into the business. So it was the year of AI. We implemented it wherever possible, whether within the product, the QA, etc. And the biggest change was in the creative departments. Essentially, what we did was we adopted, so at that time, there was a surge of AI tools, Mid-Journey, voice over AI, and other, like a lot of tools, Alice on AI, and basically what we did, we started using them within the first quarter. We saw that we literally almost doubled the productivity within the first couple of months of implementing. So obviously the beginning was a little hard. You need to understand what are your capabilities with the products, how you can use them, etc. And I think it was a very short period of time of about 2 months since we started the test period until it was fully integrated into the business. And that's where we measured the uplift, and it was plus 44% in productivity.
Thank you. Gabriel?
So I guess we're going through a very similar journey in terms of marketing and growth activities. The first place where we actually started to implement specifically Gen AI was on the creative marketing side of the business. Mid-Journey, ChatGPT, also for texts. ASO, actually, we also saw some improvements in terms of looking for the best or slightly better keywords for targeting ASO and also for Google Ads campaign. We saw a boost while using ChatGPT. And specifically in the company itself, we started a few years ago a creative tool that actually is analyzing the color palettes of all of our creatives. And we are A/B testing like the different combinations of colors And when we actually saw that this was bringing us some improvements in terms of creative marketing, we started to implement this tool on the games itself, and we're actually managing to improve retention via iterating the color palette of the games.
Thank you. Yuval?
So we haven't really adopted AI as we are the company was built from on the premise of AI from day one. We are using the same name, AI, but I heard many fronts from game creation and creative optimization and many things. So oolo's focus point is about monitoring the performance of the campaign. That's the angle that we took. And from day one, the promise was that AI will do it in a much better way that a person can, and that's not a task for a human. So that was us from day one. Yes.
For us, this year, 2024, is the year of AI at the company, and basically the goal is that every business owner within his domain will try to see how he's using as much AI tools, as much, and to move and shift some of the processes into those things. I think it's not coming from a place where we need to fire all our people and replace them with machine. I think we're looking for a competitive advantage in the market. We want to be ahead of our competition in many ways, in the way we make creatives, in the amount of creatives that we want to make, and the kind of games that we produce. So it really comes from being first to the party in terms of success, not in terms of iterating, because everyone are iterating and testing, but to be there when there is something successful, we're there and not just hearing about our competitors succeeding, making thousands of ads with one prompt. So that's the agenda.
Thank you. So Gadi and Gabriel, you both have different approaches as to how you choose the tools that you're going to use in the company, implement into the company, build for the company. So Gabriel, let's start with you. How do you choose the tools that you're going to use?
So it's very complicated, to be honest, because every day there is a new tool. And each tool that we want to test, it actually takes time. It's not that we are not on the approach of running one test and deciding if the tool is good or not for us. We are giving each tool some time, some proper budget also, because it's not only about the number of trials, but how big each test is to get a significant amount of observations. And actually, our approach is that we are focusing not in more than 3 different AIs at the time. That right now it's Midjourney, it's ChatGPT, and it's ElevenLabs. And we are working basically on these 3, like the UA, and the creative marketing team together with the ASO team. And upon understanding if the tool is better or not, we are deciding to move forward only with this tool. For example, before adding ElevenLabs, it was DALL-E versus Midjourney, because the functionality is pretty similar, not the same, but pretty similar. And we decided to keep working with Midjourney, and we added ElevenLabs as a new tool for us to test the creativity of the creative marketing and UA teams.
Thank you, Gadi. Same question.
Yeah. So, sorry. First of all, there are other AI tools that we're using, which I completely forgot. But yes, we're using ChatGPT especially for creating the creative concepts, for creating the dialogue, Stable Diffusion, as well as Midjourney. So with regards to the creative part, those are also tools that we're using. So I did mention the voice over AI tools, but also DID, which is the facial animation, which all of these tools, essentially what they do is they provide an enhancement for the creatives that you're using. So we actually had we had a session specifically about this, but about the progress that we made in AI in the company. And the question that I was asked a lot was about what are the capabilities? So how do you describe what you're doing today versus what you guys did before AI? So it's not just about the productivity, but it's also the capabilities. And the capabilities is a big change, because creating a video with facial animation and those characters and having the ability of creating 10 other faces for the same character and the facial animation So that's something very unique. We couldn't have done it previously, and had we have done that, it would probably take 5 months longer than the production time. So when we evaluate tools, the question is, what's the added capability, and how long is the adoption period? So you did discuss also the, let's call it statistical significance, right? Because you don't want to run a test on one iteration and then decide, oh, it's amazing, it's working, or no, it's not working, when you don't have the full data. And for this reason, we also give a fair chance for each tool that we are looking into, but we are also making sure that we're not testing tools that are redundant. So once we already have Stable Diffusion and we are using Midjourney, I don't see much of a reason of testing more tools like DALL-E, for example, because it's more of the same. So it's more of a question
Maybe
of
after every 6 months or so, because
if there's like a significant advancement, and there's always advancement within those tools. Right now, like I think every couple of months a new tool is announced, but the question is the capabilities.
Yeah.
Exactly, the question is capability. So right now, for example, and we haven't discussed it yet, but video creation on a prompt made a significant advancement in the last couple of months, but it's still not fully mature. So
not available for everyone.
Yes, and I wouldn't have, we wouldn't use it for creating like a one prompt video from end to end and use it, right? But I do believe it will come within, I don't know, X amount of months. It could be a month, it could be 5, but it's definitely coming.
Thank you. Yuval, my next question is for you. Why do you need AI to monitor your daily user acquisition performance?
Well, first of all, I would say that let's start from that point. If you will go to your dev team, any of your companies, and just ask them to manually review their servers, their bugs, their uptime, they will laugh at your face, right? Not a single developer will be willing to do it manually. It's crazy. And yet we on the business side, I'm now referring to the monetization and the UA team, are expected to manually review all the thousands of campaigns that we are running on a daily basis across all the networks, all the countries with multiple metrics. It's stupid. And until now, it wasn't, there wasn't any other option. So fine, we were all fucked, and no other option. But now, for the first time, the situation has changed, and we have some new ways to do it. So why do you need AI? Was the question? The answer is that we are expected to monitor millions of data points, which is beyond human capacity. We are expected to do it on a daily basis, which is like a soul-taking, shitty process. Nobody likes it. And also, we are expected to draw conclusions, which are much more of an art than a science, which is not relevant for 2024, 2025. So AI, in oolo's angle, which is data monitoring, it's like it's an easy landing. Like there's no way that manual monitoring will make sense. It is obvious that the market will shift towards automation and AI. And to me, if you ask me, like I'm hearing the other folks here, AI replacing the manual process for monitoring is much more natural and obvious than the advanced shift towards creative creation or game flow optimization or many other stuff. This is a much more trivial, obvious first step.
So let me ask you a follow-up question before you pass on the microphone. Yeah. How do you see this influencing human displacement in general in
firing
this field?
People? Yeah. So first of all, I'll just say the obvious. Nobody knows. I'm the AI business for like 14 years. I had like 3 big predictions. I landed 0 of them. Like I was wrong 3 out of 3. So obviously, I do not know what the future will bring. I hope that it will, reconcile, will find its place next to the human, as an efficiency boost, as a co-pilot, as a smart advisor, maybe eventually even as another team member, and not completely replacing all the faces here and here. You know, up until like a few years ago, it was obvious for us that the AI will penetrate first the more technical tasks. Nobody imagined that the AI will first take the most creative, complicated, nuanced tasks of text creation and image creation, and video creation, and so on. Nobody saw that coming like 3-4 years ago. The whole discussion was the opposite way. So I don't know. If you ask me about the short term, let's say 2 years from, let's say 1 year from now, I would say it will definitely find its place as a co-pilot, boosting the team's efficiency. What will happen in 5 years, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know what will happen in 5 minutes.
So I can build on top of that and mention, so you asked why use AI, and my answer to that would be, so I'll answer with an example. So basically, we're also using Allison AI, which is essentially is a tool to analyze creatives and provide recommendations. And in one of the recommendations, it was kind of counterintuitive to everything we know from social slots. So social casino, for example, there are base assumptions, right? Like coins falling from the sky, a bag of gold, maybe a leprechaun, a dragon, I don't know, reels spinning, etc. And then we got the recommendation for creating a short video. Nothing is moving, just the reels are like, they were kind of static, right? And we did it because we wanted to test it out. And the performance was actually, we had plus 11% in IPM. So just as you mentioned, I definitely see AI as another member in the team, someone to bounce ideas off of, and someone who can analyze the data much quicker and deeper than a human.
I do, though, think that it will replace people. Today, you know, marketing teams work with tens of people in motion design, graphic design, music production, and some of their tasks will be replaceable, and also some of the people. I do think that the people who will not be replaced will be the ones that will be able to speak the best with the machines. We see that the best outcomes come from the actual professionals. Like if I want something to be done on Midjourney, I can do it myself. But if I'm asking a graphic designer to do it for me, the outcome will be much more accurate to the need of the business and to how it should actually look by knowing all the color palettes and the graphic language that they're talking for the last 20 years. So if you're not adapting yourself to the new way to talk to the machine, like people who drew with pencils in the past took the Photoshop classes and they lost their business, those are the people who will dominate this realm, and the ones who don't just need to find another way to make a living.
This reminds me of a saying I like: AI is not going to replace you, someone using AI is going to replace you. So if to sum it up. Okay, so Nimrod, since you already have the microphone, do you think that the use of AI, no, I'm kidding, I have this question for you anyway. Do you think the use of AI is going to end up creating more homogeneous creatives and art and games, or on the contrary, it's going to get us to a new level of creativity?
Obviously, it's hard to predict. My hunch, like making games essentially is art. It's like making music, it's like making a painting. There are ways, it's like making food. There are people who are really good at it, and their art is outstanding, and it surfaces up. And if we're comparing it to food, there is McDonald's that is built for the mass. It's very homogeneous. Everything is the same. It probably makes more money than a chef in a restaurant that makes burgers, like amazing burgers. But for the real experience, for the amazing things that can be done even within the industry with AI, I think that the artists will have still some kind of leverage on the machine.
Thank you. Gabriel, same question. Do you think we're going to see the same thing over and over again, or are you going to see things we've never seen before?
I think AI will boost creativity. I do think that until we will get there, we will start seeing some more homogeneous process in terms of the way of working. But eventually, I always like to think of it as what happened to the accountants in the 90s when Excel started. They actually thought that it was going to replace them because, what do you need an accountant if you have Excel? But actually, all the accountants are working Excel, and they're working in fields that they never imagined that they will be working, thanks to the time that actually Excel is saving them. Or also like what happened to the newspapers with the internet. Like there will be no newspaper, but it's only change, and there are more options, are more type of media that everybody enjoys, and like there's variety. I think it will happen the same. We will go through a process where, we talked 3 out of the 3 people doing marketing in this panel mentioned ChatGPT and Midjourney. So we're all trying the same right now. But eventually, once we will actually understand how the tools work and the capabilities of the tools, each one will end up going to a different place that will suit the company and the games that we are producing better. So I think it will be very different, like way much more different than what we have right now.
Thank you. So going back to the data analysis, my next question is for Yuval and Gadi. Credibility, especially using chat, especially with the data that's not internal on an on-prem solution that the company developed, when using existing tools, how do you address the fact that the fact that you don't know if something is a fact? So how do you resolve this conflict? Yuval, we can start with you.
You're asking about the credibility of the outputs?
Yeah. Hallucinations in if we want to use the buzzwords.
Yeah. So I think we need to differentiate between broad solutions to vertical ones. So ChatGPT, for example, just because it was name dropped multiple times here, that's a broad solution, right? He presumed he's actually able to do many, many, many things, right? Now, for such cases, you should expect some multiple mistakes or which sounds very confident, but just wrong. I say in our small piece of land, we don't suffer that pain, not because we are smarter than OpenAI, of course not, just because our challenge is much more narrow, right? So imagine having a ChatGPT trained only for color selection for ads. For 4 years, the system was optimized only for color selection. So you would expect that system to yield very accurate results with very few noise or shitty answers. We are the equivalent of that. So our focus was very narrow, right? We are here to basically look at campaigns' performance and monetization performance, scan only them with a very defined purpose for the AI. The AI in our case, have a very strict marching orders, right? He knows what to look. He's looking for those combinations which are very toxic, right? Those cost spike and ROAS drops, right? Those engagement issues, those churn indications. So he's very guided. So when you're taking the muscle or the power of AI with a very defined vertical mission, you should expect extremely reliable outputs. And the more broad the solution here, the more wild the outputs will be.
Thank you. Gadi, same question.
So I very much agree. And essentially AI, so you need to understand how it works. So you have the learning of the AI. So as long as it's been trained properly to identify, for example, these anomalies, these spikes, and maybe put them aside, right, those outliers. So as long as we have that, then you're going to see next to zero mistakes. But again, it's a question of training, and it's a question of the seed, where you're starting from, and I'll explain a little bit. So, for example, the way that Stable Diffusion works is, so my question is, do 2 people giving the same prompt in Stable Diffusion get the same image? And the answer is they might, and it depends on the seed, where they're starting from and which learning tools they're using within Stable Diffusion, because you can switch those around. So Stable Diffusion does not mean, like, it's not just one tool giving the same output for everyone. And that kind of brings us back to the question of who's using the AI, who's driving it, who can generate that creativity with which prompts. So the answer is yes, you could get like 0.01% mistakes, but it depends on, let's call it the driver, and depends on the learning.
Thank you. Okay, so last question for all of you. A quick one before we open a few minutes for questions from the audience. Consider including optimization and performance and QA and everything from 0 to 100. When do you think we're going to have prompt to game, prompt to ad, prompt to campaign?
That's a great question. So obviously
Thank you, AI wrote it.
the more complex, so obviously...
It's actually the only one he did, never mind.
So the more complex what we're going to achieve, obviously the longer time we'll need to get there. But as I just mentioned, I think video is going to be next, like a one prompt to create a video. Give me a 10-second, 20-second video, video ad for social slots with some points. So I think that's going to be very near, like a couple of months, could be 2, could be 5, could be 10. And then we have the more complex ones, like, I don't know, prompt to game. Probably, I would say, I don't know, 2 years. Again, the developments in AI are exponential and non-linear, so it could be like a year and a half, and it could be 3 years, so it's hard to say. But yeah.
Gabriel?
I think we're far. I think that prompt to game, it's going to take, well, it's very hard to say. 2 years is nothing, but on AI it's a lot. I will take my chances and I will say around 10 years.
We're writing everything down and we're going to get back to you.
Check that. It's recording.
It's recording.
Yeah, it's recording. So.
No, but I think it all depends. I think that one thing, maybe it's a prompt to game that can make you a Tetris, first-person shooter from the 90s. Another thing, it's a prompt to game that can make like a more heavy game, let's say. Maybe for very easy games, it will happen sooner. Most likely, here I agree, around 2 years. Sounds about right. But for more complex games and things, I think it will only take 2 years for people to start learning how to prompt the right prompt order for the system to understand what is to make a game. So I think we're far. But we need to hurry because, 10 years is not that much in retrospective.
Thank you. Yuval, when do you think this is going to happen?
First of all, disclosure, I'm the only one in this panel which is, like, I'm not a game developer. I'm not coming from that angle, so I...
That's why I said prompt to ad, prompt to campaign, take it wherever you want.
Yeah, so I would say that there's a very big difference between showcasing a capability, let's say prompt to game, let's say Tetris, versus being able to embed all the nuances that are needed, like the commercial pop-ups, right? Or the chat with the users, or the being able to control the scenario. Many things that are added to the simplistic, game promise. So in practice, you may have even today, okay, some great demos of prompt to game, let's say, or campaign. But every revolution, I think the technology is much faster than the infrastructure, right? It will take us humans, because we are the weakest, part of this chain, more time to just assemble the multiple parts that are needed for having a real game going on, right? With attribution lineup, with commercials inside, with control, with everything that is needed to assemble this puzzle. So yeah, the capability is there, but it's not practical yet because so many pieces are still missing. I think the same thing is true also for the campaigns, even though it's a much smaller challenge. I'm not comparing between creating a game to just launching a campaign. It's like 5% of it. But the same applies for both.
Thank you. Nimrod, same question.
I don't know about games. It might happen, might not, but it's hard to predict. About UI itself, I think we are already in a point where, let's say, what used to be our daily dashboards are now becoming chatbots that we ask them questions about our performance. They answer back. Then we can ask them. It's not there yet, but the vision is to ask them to apply changes to the campaigns, and then it will happen. So I think the future is almost here in that sense, in the campaign creation, in the UA creation. But when it comes to ads and to games, I think those are things that are built out of very small crafts, many crafts that each one of them needs to be perfected. And until each and every one of them will be perfected, for example, 3D art is completely not there. Video for ads, yes, there is Sora, but I wouldn't use it for my ads. It's completely not there. So it might take years, it might never happen, but who knows? We're waiting.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I thought we'll have time for questions. We only have 2 minutes left, so let's leave it for the next lecture to come. But I can personally say 3 out of them are very nice. No, I'm kidding. Everyone's super nice, and I'm sure if you have questions, they'll be happy to answer them. And thank you very much for listening and coming.